All right. Welcome back, everyone, to a very special episode of Minecraft Therapy. Guess what? Today we are back in the old Minecraft save. If you've been around for. Oh my god, these cows are so loud. Look at how I've tortured these cows and forced them into these inhumane conditions. If you've. Oh my god. And it's Smokey, or whatever your name was. Um, yeah, if you've been around the channel for a while, you know that this is the OG Minecraft world. And then I started a new world once I started doing YouTube full time to sort of signify a new beginning. But yeah, this is the OG world. And the reason we're back in the OG world is because today I wanted to take a trip down memory lane because 4 years ago, one Olympic cycle ago, I turned 23 and I talked about turning 23 and what all that meant. And guess what? Now, recently, I have turned 27 and I feel like that warrants, you know, besides that giving me a whole existential crisis, I feel like turning 27 warrants a reflection on, where I've been, where I'm going, where I'm at now, and just kind of thinking about life because, when I made that video about me turning 23, that was me in my early 20s, entering my mid 20s, and I recently turned 27, and it's official. Like, there's no denying the math. I am in my late 20s, which is crazy and scary, and I don't know how to feel about it, but that's what we're going to work out here today. That's what we're going to hash out here. So, yeah, let's just get into it. In preparation for this video, I rewatched the turning 23 video, and it was funny. It was funny to, have that time capsule and watch myself and hear myself and hear my thoughts back then. One of the things that really jumped out to me was like how dead my voice sounded. Like I was speaking in like such a like deadpan monotone, which I still do, but like even back then that was like an extreme deadpan monotone, and I feel like, at least I feel like that represented like something about how I felt about my life at the time because I was working this job I really didn't like, and I was like really confused. Like I just felt like so dead inside in my life. So I feel like it's good that I no longer, it was interesting to hear myself and hear my thoughts, but I feel like we've made progress at least in that category, and yeah, I feel like it was just interesting to hear myself talk and like hear what I had to say because like at one point I said that I was like I was 23, I was starting to straddle adulthood, I was starting to get old, and like once I turned like 26 or 27, oh boy, that's when I really get old. That's when I really have to start thinking about getting married and all that shit. And um now here oh my god, this crazy zombie guy. Now here I am at 27, no closer to like being married or figuring out this whole adulthood thing. And yeah, that's just interesting for me to think on because the whole time I was listening to myself and kind of thinking about what I said, like I don't know, it's interesting because like I feel like I'm not that much different than who I was back then. Like, I'm different in some ways, but honestly, like, a lot of the time, like, I feel like 70% of who I am got locked down at, like, age 16. And, like, ever since then, there have been, like, incremental changes to, like, who I am, and like I've learned more about the world and like how the world works, and like lost maybe some of the naivete or innocence of um of like being 16. But at the same time, like I feel like my like morals and core like core traits of who I am haven't changed. Like I feel like my inner soul is basically still the same, which is I feel like both, like you could spin it both ways, right? It could be good that like my soul has like remained uncorrupted and you know, I am who I am. At the same time, like I feel honestly a little disappointed in my lack of character development over the last 4 years, the last 10 years of my life. I feel like um yeah, maybe I just haven't evolved as much as I would have hoped or wanted to in the grand scheme of things. One example is that I am really socially anxious. I am still very socially anxious. I've been socially anxious my whole life, and I'm still socially anxious. You know what I mean? And that, I think, is not something. I think it's something I can get better at, but I'm not sure it's something that's ever gonna fully go away. And I have gotten better at it over the years. I think me compared to me at 16 or even me at 23, I do feel like I'm more confident in myself, and I'm not so terrified to talk to people, but I'm still in if I had to get say if I am or am not a socially anxious person, I would say I am a socially anxious person, and I'm starting to feel I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering what's going on there. What's going on there. I saw a meme that was asking does it get better at 25, and someone responds you just have to get stronger. I'm sorry. And I really feel like that. I feel I'm starting to wonder am I ever really gonna change? Are things really ever gonna get all the way better, or do I just have to dig deep inside myself and find a way to change and grow and become become who I want to be, right? Because in the realm of social anxiety, right? I'm wondering how I feel I used to think that one day I would just get older and not be so intimidated by everyone, because I would become more sure of myself. As the years would go on, I would get a better sense of who I am, and and I feel I thought that part of my social anxiety was tied to my youth, because I felt intimidated by people who were older than me, as a 23-year-old or a 16-year-old or whatever, as a young person. I felt all these other people are so old and they know so much more than me, and they look down upon me for being so young. So as I get older, I will become the person that gets to bully other people who are younger than me and make them feel intimidated, and I'm gonna be more confident in myself. And that just hasn't happened. You know what I mean? I have gone better at it, I think. I'm not as socially anxious as I was, but I am still socially anxious. And I feel I just have to figure out a way to get through that. Just figure out a way to problem solve my life. And that's another thing. I feel in the turning 23 video, I talked about how I felt I was entering the sandbox phase of my life, much like the game of Minecraft itself. It's an open world situation where there's no answers. There's no answers as to what you should be doing. If you should be climbing this snow mountain or going to the nether or trying to find diamonds or building another house. Like, there's no answers. And in life, there's no answers. You know what I mean? There's no answers as to how do you get less socially anxious. You can't just go on Reddit and be like, how do I get less socially anxious? How do I make friends? There are some questions that even the internet cannot answer. And I feel like I'm realizing that I just have to figure out for myself how I'm going to answer all these questions of, how do I, find relationships in my life that give me happiness, and how do I reach the goals that I want to reach in life, and all this stuff. I was watching this interview of Willem Dafoe on the street, and he was like, the guy asked him what advice would you give people? And he says, I don't give advice. Everyone's just got to find their own way. And I feel like I knew that at 23. I feel like I knew that, just from looking at the world and how diverse it was and how everyone was doing something crazy and different. My number one example of this, I feel like, is with child actors or actresses who go on to become pop stars. I feel like they all follow the same child actor to pop star playbook, but everyone also does it in a different way. You know what I mean? So everyone maybe has to find out how they're gonna meet friends and how they're gonna fit in the world, but we all have to do it in our different way. And I guess that's really scary because I don't know, I want to be able to just get the playbook and figure it out and know what I've got to do. But there is no playbook, and everyone's got to find their own way, and that is scary to me. First of all, that's terrifying. What the hell? I feel like a baby sea turtle just thrown into the world and told that I have to make it to the ocean before some frickin' hawk descends from the sky and swoops me up. That's terrifying. But also, it's an opportunity, because I get to live my own life the way I want to live it, and that's great. That's great to be able to live my own life and do it my way. You know what I mean? I think I've also kind of thought that definitely something compared to when I was 23, I feel more accepting of myself and who I am. I feel like at 23, I didn't say this in the video or out loud, but I feel like at 23, I was very, I didn't like myself, you know what I mean? I didn't enjoy myself. I didn't like who I was. And I feel like over the years, I haven't even like I said, I haven't even changed who I am really. But I've just gotten better at accepting myself and being okay with who I am and loving myself. And I feel like that is a good development that I've had over the years. I think, that's an example of what I'm saying. Does it get better at 25? Do I magically become a different, cooler, awesomer person at 25? No, that didn't happen. But I just I got stronger in the sense that I got strong enough to accept myself and my flaws and still love myself. And I think that's a good development. You know what I mean? Because I feel when I was preparing for this video, to make this video, I feel like I focused a lot on the negative, on the I haven't, I haven't grown as much as I wanted. I haven't I'm not I'm no closer to getting married. I'm no closer to being a bajillionaire. There's things in my life I wish were better, I guess. I guess that's the honest truth. I wish certain parts of my life were better. And I kind of I know I'm not supposed to say that, and I'm supposed to be grateful for where I am, and it's all a journey, blah blah blah. But I do I wish I wish my life was better, but also um I feel like I can, I've when I was making this video or getting ready to make this video, I was focusing too much on all the things I could have done better in the last 4 years. But I think I also have to give myself credit for, all the stuff that I have done, and I have grown, all the ways I have grown in the last 4 years, because I feel like those changes, the changes I make for the better, I feel like are very incremental and not, oh, damn. Why you had to do that cow like that, skeleton? The changes I've made for the better are very incremental, I feel like, and not so obvious. And over the course of 4 years, those incremental changes can add up to, where I'm not hating myself every day. But those incremental changes I feel like are less obvious than the changes of oh, I wish I wish I handled my finances better or whatever, I wish I, had more friends or whatever. I feel like those changes for the negative, for some reason in my brain, it's easier for me to see what I don't have, than what I do have. And I guess that's because the distance from my life to the perfect life is way larger than the difference between where my life used to be and where it is now, which is an improvement, which is a significant improvement, but it's just less than, however long it's going to take me to get to the perfect life. And I guess that makes it so, it's easier for me to focus on everything I don't have, because there's a lot more I feel is separating me from the perfect life than what I do have. But I feel like I need to just be that's a really bad mindset. I feel like I need to be more grateful for everything I do have, and just be grateful for that, because that was something I mentioned in the video where I turned 23 too, is how I wanted to be more grateful. My birthday is the same day Kobe Bryant died, and every year I think about that, because I feel I don't know, I just think about that because it was such a, that was a big deal when Kobe died. And I feel yeah, in the turning 23 video, I just talked about how I feel like I just need to be grateful for being alive, and everything I have, and the roof over my head, and the food, and this laptop that I get to play Minecraft on, and all that stuff. And yeah, that's true. I think I feel like I need to remain grateful. So I'm going to talk a lot about my life, and how things, just where I am, and invariably it's going to lean towards some of the things that could be better in my life. But I want to keep that in mind, that I need to keep that North Star of being grateful for where I am. So yeah. Anyway, back to being socially anxious. I feel like that's an example of something in my life that I wish was better, and I feel like I'm thinking that I just need to figure out some sort of exposure therapy to myself, not just in in social anxiety, but also just in everything else in my life, where I'm trying to get to where I want to be. I just need to, I feel like, okay, I also need to stop saying like, I just need to X. I just need to XYZ, because I feel like that is a mindset I have where it's like, oh, if only this, or only this, or only that, then my life would be like so much better. And I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think there are things I can do to get to where I want to be, but like I don't think it's ever just going to be one thing that magically solves my problems. Anyway, social anxiety. Um, yeah, I feel like with that and like other things in life, I feel like I need to just incrementally get to where I want to be and incrementally grow. Um, yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna keep using the social anxiety thing as an example, but it could just be like, I feel like I keep thinking to myself like, oh, like I need to like make 10 friends tomorrow and like find like all my BFFs for like I need to like solve my social anxiety tomorrow. But that hasn't like that mindset hasn't worked. I don't think it's gonna work. So I think like what I have to do is focus on the baby steps. You know what I mean? Exposure therapy, incrementally like get myself to, I don't know, just put myself in a situation that's slightly more uncomfortable than what I'm used to. Maybe go to a big show or event where there are a lot of people, you know, and then from there talk to like, I don't know, the fucking waiter, and then from there go talk to someone who seems friendly. You know what I mean? Just like work. I'm just bullshitting off the top of my head, but like I feel like with that and like other things in my life, I want to make progress towards it. I guess like yeah, because um, it's just interesting to like think about like now I'm 27, and like it was in the turning 23 video, I talked about how like I said something like, oh, like there's no age at which I'm going to be perfectly ready to do everything, right? Cuz I used to feel like in the 23 video I talked about, oh, I used to feel like 18 was too young. Then I felt like 23 was too old at the time. Well, now I'm 27 and I'm not going to get any younger, and I don't think that like I'm going to magically get better. You know what I mean? Like whatever that means. So like I said, like I feel like I need to, or not I need to. Like once again, I want to stop having that mindset where it's like, "Oh, I just need to this." But like I want to improve in those aspects and get better. And I'm trying to just think it through. I'm trying to think it through because I'm realizing that also no one is going to have any answers for me. No one has any answers for me. No one's going to walk up to me and magically solve my problems in life. So like I'm just at a point where I want to try new stuff. And I also was thinking that like I need to inject more randomness into my life, because I feel like I have gotten into a routine, which is good and bad. You know, I I like routine because I feel like without routine, I'm just kind of floating through the ether, and without routine, it becomes hard for me to um, concentrate and focus and get stuff done. Specifically, like with this YouTube thing, um, and I'll talk about that later. But like, uh, right, with routine, without routine, like I feel like I'm just floating through space, and like I'm never gonna reach the goals I want to reach. But also with too much routine, I feel like stagnant. You know what I mean? Like I just wake up at the same time every day, do approximately the same things every day, go to approximately the same places, talk to approximately the same people. And I've talked about how um, I want to have more character development, and I think the only way to do that is to ex- you know expose myself to new situations and new things, exposure therapy, and like um, go to just like shake things up. You know what I mean? And I feel like the way to do that is just to inject some randomness into my life, and because like um, there's this thing in AI where it's like the Monte Carlo method, where like if you train a chess, um, like if you're trying to train a chess bot to learn how to play chess, one decent way to do it, not the best way, is to just have the chess bot simulate a bunch of random moves to the end of the game, and then like over the course of millions, billions of simulations, like even if you just pick the moves randomly, um, you know, one certain next move is going to lead to a win or loss some percentage of the time. Um, okay, I'm going to try to explain this well. Even if you simulate all the future moves randomly, one specific next move is going to lead to a win or loss some percentage of the time. And then if you and then if you compare all the possible next moves, there's going to be one next move that's going to have a higher percentage of winning in the end than the rest. Even if you just simulate total randomness for the sum total of the next moves. And it turns out like picking that move that leads to a better final outcome is actually a decent method for choosing the next move. I might be explaining this totally poorly, so you can look this up if you want to. But I feel like that is the benefit of injecting some randomness in my life, because even if like 50% of the randomness I inject into my life is negative, 50% is good. And just like through injecting randomness into my life, I can put myself onto a different path in life, which may be, which may just shake things up, which is honestly kind of what I'm looking for, is to shake things up. So, yeah, I feel like injecting randomness into my life could be good, and I'm kind of thinking about that. Um, Going back to what I was saying about routine, I feel like routine is really necessary for me, specifically when it comes to this YouTube thing, because without routine, it becomes hard for me to do YouTube. And I guess now is going to be the time I talk about doing YouTube. I try not to talk about this too much because I feel like it gets a little too meta when I'm on YouTube talking about making YouTube videos, and I'm like, what's the point of this? But it is a big part of my life because that's like, my quote unquote job, even though I hate calling it that. And yeah, I guess I'll just talk about that a little bit. I feel like YouTube. How do I feel about YouTube? There's a quote from Michael Scott that maybe perhaps sums it up better than I ever could. He says, I was never in it for the money, but it turns out the money was an absolute necessity for me, which is where I'm kind of at. Like, I love YouTube. I love making YouTube videos. I love creating and making art, even if you might not feel that YouTube is art. But like, I feel very creative when I do this, and I love it, and I love expressing myself in this way. At the same time, now this is what I rely on to pay my rent and buy groceries and all that stuff. And when that happens, like, I just feel like it requires a certain bit of balance to maintain the fun while also ensuring that it's something I can do sustainably and spend my time doing, so I can pay the rent, etc., etc. And I feel like that requires some balance between routine and flexibility, because I try to build. I've been trying hard to build like a routine with YouTube where it's like I I spend X amount of hours doing this, and I do it from this time to this time, um, which I think is necessary to remain disciplined and make sure that like I'm consistent with it. Because without that, without like some sort of routine, I feel like I'm just relying on. Oh my god! Please do not snipe me, skeleton. Without that, I feel like I'm relying on like a random bolt of inspiration to hit me to like pay my bills, which I don't feel like is reliable, and I don't want to. It stresses me out to like feel like I need to, to feel like I'm basically not in control. Where it's like I just have to like wait and hope and pray that inspiration hits me, to make a video. So like I want to remain consistent with it and build a routine. At the same time, it like I don't want to build so much routine and like treat it so much like a job. That's why I said I hate calling YouTube my job. That like it kills the fun. You know what I mean? And there has to be some flexibility built in where it can remain spontaneous and fun. Oh my god, this guy is still here. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm gonna kill that guy. Yeah. Anyway, it has to remain fun. So I just feel like that is something I've been like wrestling with this whole time, over the last few years, and I feel like I'm definitely better at it than when I first started doing YouTube full time. But oh my god, this guy's really gonna kill me like twice. But I'm not totally. I'm not like all the way there yet. You know what I mean? And it's stressful. Like yeah, I don't know. Like I guess it gets me into this like loop where I'm like I feel really stressed. Um but the problem is like being stressed is not good for my YouTube. It's not good, and it's not good for my life, because then I get into a state where like I'm so stressed, I feel like I'm unable to work at like my maximum capacity. And oh my god damn it, bro, how am I gonna kill this guy? Uh, yeah. I get so stressed I'm not able to work at my maximum capacity, and it's just not good because then I get in a loop where it's like I'm not working at my maximum capacity, which stresses me out even more, which, further erodes my ability to do this, and so on and so forth. Um, Rick in Get Swifty, he says, good music comes from people who are relaxed, Morty. And I think Rick is right. I gotta be relaxed if I want to do this, and yeah, I guess that's something I'm trying to work more towards, is staying relaxed, because I feel like I find myself being like really stressed a lot of the time, and I think part of it has to do with what does it have to do with? It has to do with like me getting older, feeling like I'm running out of time. It has to feel like with like just how I was growing up, where like I felt like really anxious about like feeling like that's my default programming, is to like feel like I need to be somewhere in life. Like, I'm not one of those people who can just like YOLO their lives and like figure it out as they go. I know there's people like that. I'm not one of those people. And yeah, it just leads to too much stress, and I don't work well. I've realized that like I don't work well under pressure. Like that's just not who I am. And as I've gotten older, I've like lost some of the insane like work ethic that I used to have when I was younger. And I think that's like a good thing because that was like literally making me want to kill myself. So like I'm glad I don't feel that way anymore, and like I feel like I feel like the reason my work ethic has slowly eroded is because I feel like I've just grinded enough for a lifetime. You know what I mean? Like I've grinded to the point I grinded myself to the edge. I almost jumped off the edge and I pulled myself back. And then I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. Um, and yet there's still some programming in me that's like very stressed out about everything and still um, feels like there's somewhere I've got to go in life and something I've got to do and places I've got to be. And like I said, there are things I want to do in my life. Um, there's things I want to do in my life, but I don't think like beating myself up and stressing myself out to get there is the way to do that. So yeah, I feel like I have to um, just stay honest with myself. Uh, I feel like it's harder to do the older I get. I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like this YouTube channel used to be a really good outlet for me to be totally honest with myself. And as time has gone on, like, it's gotten harder because, more people watch and I'm afraid to, like, get judged or whatever. Um, and it's harder to, like, hide behind a veil of anonymity compared to, like, when I literally have, like, 10 people watching my videos. Um, but I just have to keep like I'm never gonna like get better if I'm not honest with myself about what I want to do and where I want to be. And if I lie to myself about like my ultimate goal or like where I want to or like where I am currently, then like I'm just working from like faulty information. It's like I'm like trying to navigate myself from a map that's not even accurate if I lie to myself. So I want to just like remain honest to myself and honest to where I want to be in my life. Like for example, honestly, like I want to try to do stand-up comedy. But honestly, my social anxiety makes it really hard for me because I'm afraid that if I get up there, everyone's gonna. I was about to say everyone's gonna laugh at me, but that's like the whole fucking point of stand-up comedy is for everyone to laugh at you. So it's like, you see what I mean? Like I'm not even making sense until like I'm honest with myself, and if I'm not honest with myself, then I can't like say those things, um, IRL. But yeah, it's like, um, if I'm not honest with myself about like what I want to do, then I can't like plot the course to how I'm gonna do what I want to do eventually. And so I have to remain honest with myself. And um, yeah, I mean let's explore that a little more. Like I want to do stand up comedy, but like I feel so terrified to do it because I just feel like I'm gonna fail at it. I'm gonna be a loser. It's all gonna be bad. And of course, like, the logical part of my brain knows to say that, like, it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. Like, it doesn't matter. You got to do what you want to do for your enjoyment. And besides, like, it doesn't matter. Like, no one's going to think you're a loser. Even if they think you're a loser, it doesn't matter. Like, don't be afraid. Just fucking do it. And yeah, that's like kind of what I'm trying to hold. Part of what I'm trying to say is that, like, am I want to get better. I want to improve my life, and I think that I have to be honest with myself and think about what it is that I want, and be honest with myself. And, like, if I'm not perfect and I'm not all the way there yet, that's fine. No one is all the way there yet, and no one is ever going to be all the way there yet. But if I'm not honest with myself and if I'm afraid about, like, what other people think, then everything just falls apart. That's another thing, like, with this YouTube thing. Like, I remember, like, I started this whole channel for myself. I remember thinking to myself when I started this channel is for you. And, like, you do not need to give a fuck about what anyone else thinks. That's specifically why, like, I told myself back then that, like, to not spend too much time working on these videos, because I just wanted to get them out there for myself and not overthink it. And I feel like if I'm not doing it for myself, if I'm afraid about what other people think, if I'm afraid of what other people think, then I'm, like, losing like part of what makes this fun, and, like, part of why I'm here. I feel like I struggle a lot with this because like I was talking about earlier, like, I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I want to improve the personal relationships in my life. And that requires counting on other people, which is a big paradox that I've never been able to reconcile. That, like, I need to be steady enough in who I am to where I can derive my entire confidence and happiness from myself. Where it's like, even if I go and do stand-up comedy and no one laughs and everyone boos at me, I need to, like, be strong enough where, like, I'm okay with that. And once again, like, I don't need to, focus on the worst case scenario all the time. But, like, that's where I want to be at. And obviously, I'm not there. I'm probably never going to be, like, 100% there. But, like, that's where I want to move towards. And at the same time, it's, like, to improve the personal relationships in my life, which I want to, because honestly, I'm just fucking be honest again. Just gotta be honest. Even if I'm fucking afraid, it's gonna make me sound like a loser. I feel lonely sometimes. I just do. Okay, sue me. And I want to improve, like, those relationships in my life, and it's scary to do that because to get someone to, like, be in a in a personal relationship with you, not even, romantic, just like a friendship or whatever, that requires them to like you, which is totally outside my control, whether or not someone likes me. And, like, that requires them to judge me, and, like, whether or not they like me, and whether, they whatever. And that is scary. And I guess that is what vulnerability is, and that's why being vulnerable is so scary, because if you're vulnerable, there's a chance that someone is going to be like, yeah, I don't like what I see. You know what I mean? You just told me what you are, and who you are, and I don't like it. And part of getting, yeah, I guess part of it is realizing that um, that's okay. For not if not everyone likes me, that's okay. It's like I still have to retain the part of myself that loves myself. Like I was saying at the top of the video, like I'm at a place where I'm okay with myself and who I am, and I like myself, which is not something I could say at 23. Um, Savannah Brown, she said in her recent video, she was acting in a way that didn't betray herself, and the fact that she did that made her feel really good. And I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I know, compared to where I was at 23, I know who I am and the things I would do, or the things I want to do, or the things I can do that won't like betray who I am. You know what I mean? Which I was saying in the 23 video, like I feel like I was not all the way there yet, where it's like I was talking a lot about like purpose and like trying to find my place in the world. And I feel like I was still unsure of who I was. And, I was unsure of who I was and like what to do. Now I feel a little more sure in who I am. I still have no idea what the fuck to do. So that's still something we got to work on at 27. But that's good. That's good that I have a better sense of who I am. You know what I mean? And it's I guess I want to be able to keep that in, just keep that in mind for myself, and not have it work against me. Because I feel like I because I know myself so well, I also know all my flaws really well. Like, you want me to tell you like all my flaws? Like, trust me. Like y'all haters in the comment, I don't need haters, because like I am my biggest hater. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like I could tell you all my flaws. I'm socially anxious. Like I'm like awkward when you meet me for the first time. I'm an overthinker. I'm like not super charismatic. I'm, like I know exactly what the fuck is wrong with me. And I feel like because of that, it makes it easy for me to constantly beat myself up. But yeah, like I said, I don't think that is something that's just not something I think I want to do. It doesn't improve my life, so it's like, why would I do that? And I don't know, I don't have all the answers to like figure out how to like immediately improve myself so that like I'm not, all of a sudden tomorrow I can like get up on stage and like perform a routine. But yeah, these are just my fucking random thoughts and my work in progress self. Yeah. Another thing, like, as you could probably tell from this whole rant that I just went on, like, I'm really good at overthinking. Like, I'll overthink every possible thing that could go wrong. You know what I mean? I'll overthink like, oh, if I do stand-up comedy, everyone could boo me, everyone could be mean to me, blah blah blah. Like, I will work out every possibility that can go wrong. I was reading this book recently called The Man Who Saw Seconds. Good, really good book. Highly recommend if you are into thrillers or philosophy. But it's a really good book, and the main premise is that the main character can see 5 seconds into the future. And the way he does this is by like seeing all the infinite possibilities 5 seconds forward. And this gives him the ability to like dodge bullets, for example, like because he can see all the future possibilities where he gets hit by a bullet, and then dodges them. And I feel like that is what I try to do with like my overthinking. Like I feel like I try to overthink so hard to like see every worst case scenario so that like I can brace myself for them and or like dodge every single worst case scenario. But trying to do that is as crazy for me as trying to like dodge bullets. You know what I mean? Like I am not going to be able to foresee every worst case scenario and like every possible bad thing that could happen to me. And like I've gotten into this thing recently where it's like, oh, like I realized that like instead of overthinking, I should almost like not think at all about the future and focus entirely on the present, because all overthinking does is like it gets me like really stressed, which once again, like I said, like decreases my overall like life skill. You know what I mean? Like my ability to handle life. And I realize that like if I just like calm down, if I live in the moment, if I'm just like relaxed all the time and just once again, I need to not say just. If I'm more relaxed and like not constantly overthinking my life, then in the moment when like some adversity comes for me, I won't be like so stressed from like previously already torturing myself with everything that could go wrong. I will just like feel better about life from not like torturing myself 24/7 with every possible thing that could go wrong, and then I'll just be able to handle life better by not like being miserable and torturing myself all the time. So I am trying to get to the top of Mount Stupid in the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like I really think that in terms of like like what would like which side I have to lean more towards, if I have to lean more towards like thinking more about my life or thinking less about my life, I honestly think I have to like start thinking less about my life, which paradoxically will allow me to like better live my life, like because I won't like shut down from the stress of overthinking all the time. You know, like I was saying, like I go through like this stress spiral where I'm like stressed out, then I can't do it, then like I can't do anything, which stresses me out even more. Well, like the main reason, maybe not the main reason, but like a reason I'm stressed out in the first place is because I'm thinking about like everything bad that could happen to me, which is like, okay, if I remove that, I'm going to be slightly less stressed, which is just going to improve my life and make it better. So it's like, I'm hopefully, that is a goal that I have for myself. Like, think less, stress less, like, with this YouTube thing. Like, I just need to, like, think less about it. Like, there's this funny, thing I saw on The Onion recently, where it's like, beaver overthinking dam. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that, beaver. Like, overthinking that dam is not going to make the dam any better. Just build the dam. And, like, I feel like that is how I have to live my life. It's like, overthinking my life is not gonna make it better. I just gotta, like, live my life the way I want to live it. And live in the moment and be present. And like, by being present, that is going to be the best way for me to like live my life. Like, I think there's no way I can really prepare for my life, which I feel like is what me overthinking is trying to do. It's like, I can't prepare for it. I just have to like go out there and live it. And I guess that ties back to the whole like what I was saying at the beginning, where it's like there's no playbook for life. There's no there's no answers. Like, you just have to go out there and live it. So I think that is what I'm gonna try and do. Once again, a lot of this is a lot easier said than done, and I feel like I I beat myself up so much because like logically I can think about all these things and like how I can like solve it and like I can approach my life as if I'm living someone else's life and be like, "Oh, if you do this and this, then it's like your life's going to get better." Um but it's harder for me to put it in motion because I'm the one feeling my emotions, and it really sucks when like I encounter turbulence in my life, and like it makes me feel the emotions of like bad and sad and all that stuff. Um and I'm starting to think that's just life. Once again, does it get better at 25? You just have to get stronger. And I'm starting to think that you know, or I know there's never going to be I'm never going to reach that perfect life that I was talking about. You know what I mean? It's something to strive for. It's something to like have to like so I always have a goal to like reach towards. But I'm never going to like live my perfect life. There's always going to be bad shit that happens. And I think that I've got to accept that. I need to accept that. um which is I think like letting some like naive part of myself die, like letting some innocent part of myself die where I could think that like the perfect life is attainable. I I'm not sure. I don't think that. I don't think that's true. Um, but um, there's a really good life out there that's attainable, and I think the way to get there is to um, accept all the bad. And there's not even that much bad in life. There is so much I have to be grateful for, and I don't need to focus on all the bad all the time. Like, yes, YouTube is stressful now. Now that it's like a different thing in some respects, but also I'm like really grateful that you know I used to have 100 subscribers, and now here I am, and it's like I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would even have an opportunity to live like my best life, honestly. Like at 23, I was working at this stupid startup, this shitty job, and like I thought that was going to be my life. Like I thought my life was going to be like 40 years in tech, never being able to like be creative with my life the way I wanted to really be. And like now I have that shot, and like that is once again, that's like beyond my wildest dreams, and like something I'm really grateful for. And I think that is something to hold on to focus on the good, focus on accentuate the positive, and like be grateful for it. Um, yeah, there is a lot I have to be grateful, a lot that I am happy with in my life, and yeah, just one more thing was like looking back at the 23 video, I had like some advice. I had advice for myself at 18 that my 23-year-old self gave my 18-year-old self, and I feel like I feel like that was the wisdom of the innocent back then, because I was saying to like my 23-year-old self was saying to my 18-year-old self like shit like put yourself out there, don't be afraid to talk to people. Mistakes are part of the progress. Mistakes are part of the process. Don't worry too much. Don't have regrets. And like these are still things that like I'm still grappling with, and like and I think those things are true. I feel like it's just a matter of how do I apply them in my life? Like I said, it's like I feel like I know who I am. It's just a matter of like how does that like how does like knowing who I am in my soul and my brain actually manifest in this crazy physical planet we have spinning at like 100,000 miles an hour around a giant ball of fire. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I'm still in the process of that. And yeah, I guess like Willem Dafoe said, I'm not in the business of giving advice anymore. I feel like I'm in, you know, just we just have to like figure it out. And there's no advice that you can give, um, but you just figure it out through your experience in your life and not being afraid. That's another thing. Like I feel like I really have to work on not, you know, that's part of what like social anxiety is like being afraid, and stress is like being afraid of the future. It's like I have to work on being less afraid. And yeah, I think everything I talked about, I'm not going to go through that because I feel like everything I talked about with like exposure therapy and focusing on the present and not overthinking are like ways to do that. Um, but yeah, um, even though I won't give advice to my past self, I feel like I do want to like say something to my future self, because if I am watching this video in 4 years, I'm gonna be 31. Holy fucking shit, that is gonna be really crazy. Once again, like that's just a number, right? 30 is just a number. Um, but I feel like I want to just like say something to like be like a time capsule for myself at 31. So I'm just gonna speak off the cuff here. What's up, me at 31? I think you should be kind to yourself, because I feel like that is what I've always lacked for myself, is kindness for myself. And I've always thought that like if I could self-flagellate myself into being a better person, that was like going to be the most efficient way to improve myself, because that is just what I'm used to, is like working from like fear. But I don't think that's the way to go. I'm sure, maybe your life is perfect at 31, but I'm sure it's not. I can almost guarantee you that it's not. If I'm wrong, that would be the greatest jinx of all time, if I could jinx myself into having a perfect life at 31. But I'm pretty sure it's not perfect, but that's okay. I think you should look back on this video not to compare yourself, not to use it as a tool for comparison and be like, oh, like I wish this that, I was there and I should be here now because I was already at that point at 27. I don't think you should use this video as comparison. I think you should just use this video to reflect on the good times in life, you know what I mean? And how you've had a good life, and you've gone to do things that you thought you never would get to do, and you've gone to you're figuring it out. You're always figuring it out. And I feel like me, I'm trying to figure out, you and me are trying to figure out how to be honest with ourselves. And I think part of it is being honest that everything's okay. Everything's okay. You don't have to overthink, beat yourself up, like, and yeah, if you're watching this, don't even like use it to like look back. Just use it to like think about how your life in the present is good. That's all I have to say is like, think about how your life in the now is good, because I'm sure it is good. I'm sure no matter what, you have something to be grateful for, something to be happy about, and we're only on this earth once, right? We're gonna die one day. That's fucking scary as hell. So we might as well enjoy our lives here while we can. Yeah, I think that's the video. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have to say. I don't think so. But yeah, reflecting on my life, turning 27, big stuff, big stuff. Yeah. Thank you for watching. If you watched all the way to this end of the video, hope you're doing well, hope you're doing swell, and I'll catch you next time. Stay safe, stay sane. Peace.